Alrighty folks, today we have a brand new lens from Brightin, and it is the 50mm F1.4 for the Fujifilm X mount, everybody. I've tried this lens for the Sony E mount and I really enjoy that lens, but now it is here for the Fujifilm X mount. Now this lens is an APS-C lens, so the 50mm F1.4 is going to be a 75mm full frame equivalent. And this type of focal length is very good for portraits and mid-telephoto shots. The build of this lens is quite nice. It's all metal construction. The manual focus has a good resistance to it. There is, however, no aperture ring. I know this lens design shows that there is somewhat of an aperture ring at the back, but I can assure you it's purely aesthetic. You cannot rotate it, okay? So again, there is no aperture ring on this lens. This lens is an autofocusing lens, and it's one of the better built third-party lenses coming from China. It has a nice premium feel to it, and this lens comes with a lens hood and a lens cap. At the back of the mount, you're going to see digital contacts, and this is to communicate with the camera. And also at the back, you have USB-C port for firmware updates. The lens does have an anti-fouling fluorine coating, so sealed to the lens body. It's waterproof and drip-proof and dust-proof structure. This coating allows the lens to be adhered to the stains on the lens and can be easily wiped. Now, in addition to that, the back mount of this lens has a certain degree of splash resistance according to Brightin, but is not completely waterproof. So just be mindful of this when you're shooting in the rain. This lens does have an 8-groove 12 element inside of them, and also has a STM motors inside for the quick autofocusing. It has a 58mm filter thread, and its close focusing distance is at 50 centimeters, which is pretty good for something of this focal length. You can get close and get detailed shots of your subject, which is great. Now, like I said earlier, this lens is an f1.4 lens, so it will help you out in low light scenarios. f1.4 will give you an amazing bokeh, and it's gonna help with giving you that background blur and that subject isolation that everyone desires. When it comes to single point autofocus, I find it to be quick and snappy. However, it's not as smooth like my other Fuji lenses going from close to infinity. I believe that my Fuji lens with the linear motors inside is the reason why the focus feels so smooth and the autofocusing feels quicker, and it doesn't feel so abrupt, and it doesn't feel like it's pulsing like you see on the Brightin. However, saying that, it is quick, it is snappy, it just looks a little bit jarring. When it comes to the image quality, this lens is sharp, wide open in the center. I'm trying this on the demanding 40 megapixel sensor of the X-T5, so it is pretty good. It can hang with the 40 megapixel sensor. There is also no visible chromatic aberrations I've seen on this lens, which is pretty good. This lens performs really well in that regard. The bokeh has a fun, playful look to it, and I enjoyed the look when I was out shooting some portraits, albeit with the Sony E mount version. It has that swirly look to the image, and I really like shooting with this lens a lot. Overall, my thoughts on this lens hasn't changed since the Sony E mount version that I did a couple months back. This lens has an incredible value, and I'm glad that it is available for the Fujifilm X mount. Now, the only direct competitor I can find is the XF 50mm F2, which is coming in at $449 US. Now, I love that F2 lens, and I think it's a highly underrated lens in my opinion. But this Brightin is an f1.4 lens, and it's freaking sharp, and it's coming in at $299 US. So you're saving yourself about 150 bucks. Now, you can't beat that value. So if you're someone that is price conscious, that's looking to maximize the most value out of your dollar, need something for low light scenarios with autofocus, needs a good sharp portrait lens, I highly recommend you guys check out the Brightin 50mm f1.4 for the Fujifilm X mount. Now, these Chinese lens companies are getting real good at making lenses. It's time Fuji step up their game, because some of these Fuji lenses are getting outdated and they can't keep up with the 40 megapixel sensor. However, something like this, a third-party lens, can work with the demanding 40 megapixel sensor and has good autofocus and is quick and snappy. So what's your excuse, Fujifilm? Like, step your shit up, please. Now, if you're interested, I'll leave the links down in the description below, and special thanks goes out to Brightin for providing me with a copy so I can make this video possible for you guys. And if you found this video helpful, consider subscribing to my YouTube channel, and thanks so much.